last night, of course, at the Republican National Convention. I think a speech the whole country was waiting to see. One, because we knew that President Trump would address what happened on Saturday. And Will, we discussed it last night. Being in that room, obviously it's a very loud, almost even when you're close, it can be hard to hear the speaker. And it's again because it's not a rock concert. It's not a sporting event. It's one person on a microphone. So when you really have to kind of focus in, and it was easier to do that, of course, the first part of that speech, because it wasn't really it wasn't a speech to the crowd to get the crowd excited. It was on the issues. It was, what did Donald Trump go through on Saturday? How did that change him, and even his thought process about moving forward as president? All of those issues, kind of the way he was talking to his family, even from the stage, and of course looking out at, of course, all these admirers. But that was the same situation he was in Pennsylvania. So you can see that the security was very intense in Milwaukee, but everything worked out just fine, and that was great. But I will tell you, in that convention setting, though you are talking to the crowd, you really are. Again, this is a made-for-TV event, and no one is trying to hide that fact. So when you're there, you really have to kind of key in to even be able to hear the speakers. I will tell you, for that first 40 minutes before it became more of a rally speech, Will, it was very easy to follow along with Donald Trump. It was a serious moment. People were in tears, talking about the firefighter who lost his life, talking about how even Donald Trump realized when he was looking out. They showed that picture of him on the ground with the blood, and his eyes were open, and how he could hear people at that time. People thought he was dead. So he had this kind of like moment where he hopped back up and did the, raised his fist with the fight, as he said, just to let people really there know in Pennsylvania, because he didn't know at that point if he had been shot in other places. He said that, at that point you're thrown out to the ground and adrenaline's pumping. But, he did that to just let the people know he was okay. And so I think, again, it was just an insight into someone going through an assassination attempt just days ago. I mean, I don't remember any moment in my lifetime where you get that kind of speech or this kind of moment so close to an event like that.
That's right. And the fact that the tone changed, and right from the beginning, it was a call for unity. And it's something that I'm sure the left will spin and say, well, he doesn't really mean unity for everyone. But his words were very clear. And I think this is an important bite that we should play, and I want to get your take on it, Jordan. This was right near the top of his speech. This is how he opened it. This is how he set the tone for receiving his nomination. This is bite one from President Trump last night.
Together we will launch a new era of safety, prosperity, and freedom for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. The discord and division in our society must be healed. We must heal it quickly. As Americans, we are bound together by a single fate and a shared destiny. We rise together or we fall apart. I am running to be president for all of America, not half of America, because there is no victory in winning for half of America.
This is the Donald Trump I remember from 8 years ago when he ran for president the first time. Though people thought he was being divisive, he was actually being unifying. And I don't know if it comes out into how the media spins it exactly, but I will tell you, from being at the convention over 4 nights and being at 3 or 4 other conventions, working for conventions before in my career, this is the most diverse Republican Party I've ever walked through. And just walking through the convention, from people from different backgrounds, different economically, racial, people who have immigrated to the country and become citizens, and they support the message from Donald Trump. And then I really think we're also in this very bizarre moment where not only is he having to address an assassination attempt and talking about, I think, if you remember, it's the Democrats and Biden who have been vindictive, who sent the DOJ after Donald Trump. Donald Trump did not send the DOJ after Hillary Clinton. Even after that long campaign of people chanting, lock her up, he realized as president, at that time, that would be a waste. That you need to unite the country to work on those big economic issues that matter most, and people being able to be successful. That's not what you do. Is continue, like he said, you don't win for half the country, even if you only get half the country's support. The issue here now, though, is, like he said, I'm not going to bring up Biden again. Has Donald Trump already beat Joe Biden? And who is going to be we're hearing about potentially 4 Democrats running for office and Joe Biden not endorsing Harris and him pushing back, the campaign pushing back today. It is a bizarre time in U.S. presidential politics when you're already through one of the major parties' conventions.
That's right, Jordan. We even talked about that yesterday. We said just one of these stories, whether it be the weaponization of the DOJ, whether it be the failed assassination attempt, any of these, the disastrous debate performance, would be election-defining news items or moments in any normal cycle. And we're getting a new bombshell every single week, it feels like. We're not, like you said, last night, as the candidate for the Republicans, Donald Trump, was accepting his nomination, you were getting a deluge of reporting from Washington Post, New York Times, Axios, all of these big political reporters putting out stories about, well, it could be Sunday that Joe Biden decides I'm out. It could be him endorsing Kamala Harris. It could be him saying, let's do an open convention. I think AOC last night did a live on Instagram that was as long as Donald Trump's speech, trying to comfort her supporters, but also basically sounding like she's done with Joe Biden and all in on Kamala, but also trying to say she's not made that decision yet. It's a wild time. They are fractured. But I think we should play one more bite, Jordan, before the end of this segment. And this goes to the weaponization of the DOJ by the Democrats. And Donald Trump brought this up last night, and I thought it was a powerful moment. Let's go ahead and play bite 3.
And we must not criminalize dissent or demonize political disagreement, which is what's been happening in our country lately at a level that nobody has ever seen before. In that spirit, the Democrat Party should immediately stop weaponizing the justice system and labeling their political opponent as an enemy of democracy, especially since that is not true. In fact, I am the one saving democracy for the people of our country. And very big news, as you probably just read, on Monday, a major ruling was handed down from a highly respected federal judge in Florida, Eileen Cannon, finding that the prosecutor and the fake documents case against me were totally unconstitutional, and the entire case was thrown out of court. With all of that publicity, thrown out of court. If Democrats want to unify our country, they should drop these partisan witch hunts, which I have been going through for approximately 8 years. And they should do that without delay and allow an election to proceed that is worthy of our people. We're going to win it anyway.
And Jordan, that comes with the news that Jack Smith has filed notice of appeal in that documents case.
Yeah, I would imagine so, because or else it affects, of course, that case, because it just said he's the illegitimate prosecutor. That could affect, of course, the what's going on in Washington, D.C. And this idea that they would continue prosecutions even after the election. I think, listen, we will have the conventions in one aspect are you get through them. This one was going to have a lot of extra attention on it because Donald Trump is a major name. He was shot on Saturday. And within 10 days, Will, I mean, think about this 10-day stretch of Saturday in Pennsylvania by, like you said, Saturday or Sunday this weekend. We could have had one of the leading candidates shot, and the current president, who would be the nominee for his party, step down after being in a debate, potentially putting up one of the most unpopular vice presidents in our history someone who was just taken that ability to kind of build your profile, and it's been a disaster. But yet you've got Democrats. Do they rally around Harris? Do they try someone new? How do you move this money around legally? There's a lot of things they've got to figure out before they decide just to boot Joe Biden. And obviously his campaign is pushing back today. But I'll tell you, I've been in campaigns before that are not on the winning side of history, and you already know that. And you still are not going to, of course, come out and dump on your candidate until that moment. First of all, legally, and also until all of those issues we just discussed are figured out. Like, where does the money go? Who gets? Does Harris jump in? Is that keep the money with the campaign? And when you've raised hundreds of millions of dollars, that is a big deal. Support the work of the ACLJ at aclj.org. We've got our Life and Liberty Challenge. Go to aclj.org. Donate today.